But what I want to talk about are the good people over at DraftKings and DraftKings Casino. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, their new app that they have, and it is phenomenal, like we always talk about with DraftKings. But with their casino app, man, you're able to on your phone, right on the app, you can bet on some of the slot games, the table games, any of your board style stuff. I mean, you talk about blackjack, roulette, any of that type of stuff, man. You're able to play right on this app right here, man. It's an awesome concept. And the thing that I absolutely enjoy the most about DraftKings Casino,
they're generous.
Very generous is a nice way to put it, right? Because if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive not $1,000, but $2,000 in deposit bonus money, ladies and gentlemen. It's an awesome situation. You can't beat it, honestly, man. Shout out to DraftKings Casino for that and for them rocking with the show. But, Deke, we know every once in a while we have to talk about disclaimers, information. I get that. But I don't want to go there just yet. So what I want to say is this also. If gambling isn't available, like the sports gambling and stuff like that, or just casino gambling isn't available where you currently live, don't forget about DraftKings Fantasy Football app as well, okay? Where you're able to do some of the... We did that out in LA as well, right? That was a lot of fun, man.
Whoa.
Or no, LA,
Green Bay.
Green Bay. Yeah, we did it in Green Bay.
Head-to-head showdown.
That was dope, man. So, you know, you could do the head-to-heads and stuff like that. They're giving, I think, it's $1 million in prizes weekly on their Fantasy Football app. So you got some options with that. But last and certainly not least, if you have a gambling problem, if you need counseling, if you need referral services,
don't be hesitant.
Don't wait. You better call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We just want to start with Chase.
Why not start with the elephant in the room? The floor is yours, man. As a fan of the team, you know, die hard, what was your thoughts, man?
Mixed emotions because awesome plays from Claypool.
Yeah.
Awesome plays. The one catch down the sideline where it was pass interference.
Yeah, I thought it was incomplete.
Yeah,
just
incomplete.
PI. He's like, oh, no,
you watched the replay. Wait, he caught that?
Yes, dude,
he caught that?
crazy.
The one time it looked like diving really helped him out. Yeah. Seriously, because I don't think you catch that without the dive. Like, that was in the perfect spot.
Yeah.
And then you have other clutch catches. The fourth down catch was even nice. The slant across the middle.
In itself,
Ben does the little RPO. I'm like, oh, this is savage by 7. Great catch. Let's get this going.
Yeah.
And then the whole celebration, wasting 10 seconds. Just, I'm not surprised, though. Is anyone really surprised? But this is what Claypool's been for us. Not fully a wide receiver 1. Makes some spectacular plays. Tough plays too. Tough, like, Steeler plays. Yeah. We're like, yeah, this is the guy we want.
Yeah.
This is the guy we want, especially in some of these moments in the second half. But then you get that shit, and then you get the penalty in the first half, the first quarter, actually.
The point, yeah.
Yeah, the point where we were driving.
That
was
open and drive too.
Multiple times for us on offense where it felt like we had something going, but it was stupid penalties that would get us in like a second 19, second and 20. Mixed emotions. What do we do with Claypool? I don't know, because we need him on the field. We definitely need him on the field. I was kind of pissed that he was, I think it was the third quarter he was mainly sitting out.
Yeah, Coach C said he benched him.
I was just like, where's Claypool? But it was understood just probably because some of his antics. Because he also almost fumbled it too. I mean, it was, in my opinion, that was a fumble.
I thought it was.
I don't know how they overturned that.
Shin was
but whatever.
Down or something. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, if we're doing the shin instead of the knee, then yeah.
I thought that was the case, bro.
Complete mixed bag. Yeah. Complete mixed bag. I mean, we go back to him again next week. There's no way we're not going to do anything drastic like cut him. Like that would be absolutely insane. But it's just frustrating. It's frustrating. Maybe that will open his eyes, wake up call, whatever it is. But we've been seeing this kind of consistently with Claypool. Now, I thought the whole music thing was blown out of proportion, but now we're seeing this stuff on the field. We have been seeing some stuff on the field, but in a game like that, it's like, damn, dude, really? Because we get another shot at the end. Yeah, we do. Now, as much as
it could be the
amazing throw by Ben, you can't throw it better. Pat, you wish he could make that catch, but at the same time, it's a great play by a great player in Harrison Smith. We get at least another shot at it, though, if Claypool doesn't do that shit. So, yeah, mixed bag. But we're not in that point without Claypool, too.
Yeah. Now, you bring us some great points right there. The mixed bag is definitely where I felt with Claypool, because like you said, this was one of the games where he was actually coming down with the 50-50 balls. Like the biggest knock on him, right? The 50-50 balls. He's actually coming down with them consistently in this game, but it's sandwiched with bonehead decisions by him, and then he doesn't take accountability after the game. You hear him as he responds to it.
That was the most baffling thing.
And he's trying to put it on Trey Turner. It's like, bro, Trey is pissed because he understands the magnitude. He understands the significance of the situation and that time is of the essence. And even though you might feel that, hey, man, that referee isn't going to be there, I got some time. First off, you don't know that if you run over there, maybe that referee sprints a little harder. That's a reality of it. Or how many times have we seen the centers get set up before the referee gets over there? So when the referee finally catches up, everybody's aligned. You can't have everybody get aligned if the football isn't there, because they don't know where to get aligned, because the center doesn't know where to get aligned at. So the accumulation of it was just a terrible thing all around. And like you said, to not have any accountability afterwards was the most disheartening part. But it just shows the immaturity that has been, stuck on Claypool since he's arrived here. And that's when we talked about last week, 2 weeks ago, with the music thing. And I was like, man, even though the comment in itself wasn't bad, because it's from him and he continues to have questionable judgment being displayed, it just feels like more than what it really probably was. And now when you say that 2 weeks later, you're doing these same type of antics in games, it's just like, man, when is enough? And I do like the fact that Coach T benched him, because you say you don't think anything drastic could happen. I personally do, because James Washington came in and that's when he started to thrive. That was really what got to sparking the offense coming back, along with some of the turnovers. And you saw that.
2 great catches by him.
So for me, I'm sitting here saying to myself, the same way they benched Devin Bush and Joe Schobert in that game, the same way they could come right back and do the exact same thing to start it out next week with James Washington, if they really want to send that message, because clearly it's to the point where the coaching staff wanted to at least get his attention. You're not going to bench him for at least that quarter if you're not trying to get his attention. If it hasn't pissed you off enough, or you're embarrassed by it enough to want to publicly display that, and then for Coach T to go and confirm it afterwards, he could have simply said it was a flow day. He could have simply said, well, we thought James Washington had a better matchup. Or maybe, Claypool might have been dealing with something. He could have easily put it like that to hide what was truly happening. But that wasn't what he said. He said, no, he was benched. Hope he got the message. We'll see. So I do think that the James Washington element, and because he played the way that he did, it does give them a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more leverage if they wanted to send a little bit more emphatic message to him, because like you said, you're not going to cut. You're not cutting.
Yeah, I guess benching would be you just continue to bench him and stuff.
Yeah, you don't cut him. You could bench him, or the biggest thing that I think of is you limit his playing time. Now, if you want to go full bench, that's one way. I personally think that he's a really talented guy.
Yeah,
but I feel like
not having him out.
But I feel like if you limit his role even more so, remember we talked about how the players respond, right? The mental element of it. Clearly, his judgment is questionable at times. My only concern is hard bench. I think the message is clearest, concise, and the results are probably going to be the most effective, but it hurts the offense the most in the interim. Limiting his role, I think, helps the offense to an extent, but I'm concerned that he might respond negatively, right? The pouting, well, you want to go with this guy? Well, I'm going to act even more immature. I'm going to have even more outbursts. And then it becomes more of a distraction. And that's the part where I'm just like, that's a Coach T thing. He has to know his player to that level. I don't know him like that.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any of that from Claypool.
I don't know him like that.
It's just been more of the immature antics on the field where it's like, oh, yeah, I want to try to grab your face now. So I want to poke you in the eye or something.
Right. It just seemed like kitty. But the big part for me was just hearing the lack of accountability when he spoke on the issue directly. Yeah. And that's the part for me where it makes me concerned.
Does he have no awareness? That's the other thing.
But that makes me concerned that, okay, if in that moment, as significant of a moment as that was, in the actions that he did directly correlating with a loss of 12 seconds, right? It started from him, regardless of what happened after the fact. The initial act started from him. The fact that he can't even take accountability for that, that's the part that makes me concerned, that if you limit his role, what does he do in response to that if he can't identify that he was in the wrong in this situation?
Well,
right
you
here?
saw him yelling on the field too.
As soon as it happened, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Yes.
Yeah, he's yelling at Trey Turner. And then Ben in his press conference was like, bro, hey, like, he sounded pissed too. Now, I don't know. Yeah, what do you do if you're Ben there? I think he answered it right, probably.
No, Ben handled it the best way he can because, like you said, as a teammate, it's always that fine line. Like me and retired guys, we can be a lot more real, a lot more in depth with some of our issues with players and team because we're not having to directly work with these guys every day and have to have a positive rapport, right? If Claypool doesn't like us as retired guys, it doesn't affect us how we work, right? But a guy like Ben who has to share the locker room, who has to be in the meeting room with them every day, they have to have a rapport, a natural trust. Yeah, you can't just say whatever and really chastise.
He might be gun shy too for some of the stuff that's happened in the past.
And that 100% that plays into it because Ben has been under scrutiny for some of his comments that he's made in the past. So all of that plays into it, but that is the biggest reason why as fans and as media, we're always like, oh man, you got to call these guys out. Why don't Cam say something? Why don't this guy say something? The dynamic is different because you bash that guy, you embarrass him publicly, everybody will love you. But now you have a dysfunction within your organization. You have a break in terms of that relationship. And now when it's crunch time in these moments, that can hurt you. That can have a negative impact on your team. And those are the parts where you got to just, like I said, try to find that common ground. And usually the common ground is winning. Usually the common ground is team. But right now it's looking like with Claypool, it might be a little bit not as clear what the goal is. Is it team? Is it winning? Is it personal accolades? Is it just showing a guy up? Because we've talked like
that's what it feels like.
It feels like a time like
personal brand, personal accolades, plus showing a guy up.
I got to show you up for every little thing, and at times it's just like that's not gonna make you a great player. Randy Moss wasn't a great player because he walked around pointing guys' faces after 2-3 yard catches. No, it's because he was catching bombs over people, man. He was having crazy seasons and he's celebrating touchdowns. You feel me? Like it's things like that where I'm just saying to myself, like, if you could just change what your focus is, all of that will fall in place. Your brand to be big. People will still love you. You can still celebrate and do what you want, but you got to take care of the football part first. That has to be number one.
You know who's a great example of that? And I don't want to be like taking shots at him, but Presley Harvin has not been punting good this year. Think of where his brand was before the season, where it's like, oh, we drafted this punter, man. Like we see the throw in college. We're so excited about this guy. Like he has had an awesome brand at this point, but now he's not punting good. It's like, we don't care about that.
I agree.
We'd rather have Jordan Berry back. You saw that punt that he had at the end of the game.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. Throughout the whole game, that's probably the hypest I got, bro. Just because it was mate, and he put it right on the shish kebab for you one time. I said, put another shrimp on the barbie, mate. Wifey look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, babe, that's my Aussie friend. You don't understand. That's my Aussie guy. I was really happy for him.
But it's with anything. In terms of longevity and your brand, you're 100% right. The work and the production will speak for itself eventually. Like the dudes 20, 30 years after they're done playing, they still have brands because of how good they were.
Absolutely. You take care of your business on the field,
Hines
your
Ward.
brand to live.
Hines Ward does not have to buy a drink in Pittsburgh probably ever. Like all those dudes. That's because we won.
Take care of business on the field, man. Take care of business on the field. And that's the part where I just like with him, I just feel like he has to learn that. I mean, as crazy as it is, I think we might have been talking about this where we were just saying kind of like him and Juju. When I think of it, I feel like he is like the out of balance version of Juju. Like if we're talking like watching a color TV and it's like slightly out of balance.
Yeah,
like
Juju doesn't do this stuff on the field.
Because Juju has like that fine balance of kind of immature, kind of kid. But when it's football, it's football. And with Chase, it's kind of like the football part isn't all the way where it needs to be. And the kid immaturity part is a little bit higher than it's supposed to be. And you could just see the difference because like when we think of how people would speak on Juju, that's kind of how they want to paint him. And it's like, he's not like that. But with Claypool, you're like, we trying to give you you're not like that either, but you actually are like that. You're making it hard. Like, God, man. Yeah.
Because the other thing, though, too, with Ben, if he says that out in public, Claypool, who knows what he's thinking? Like, we ain't even in that spot where we're fumbling the ball to get it to the ref if it wasn't for me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows how that dynamic plays out? That's why I think Ben handled it pretty good because he could call him out in the locker room in person if he wants.
And trust me, one-on-one he will. One-on-one they'll have that. And I can say because I've seen these type of things before, man. It's like, okay, but you do it that way because, number one, it allows that player to not feel embarrassed. Because that's the big part when you talk about calling guys out. The human nature part, human element. No one wants to get embarrassed. If you were embarrassed, you just fight or flight, right? How you gonna respond to it?
Yeah.
With typically in the professional athlete sense, a lot of us, we have the fight mentality, not the flight mentality. So when we feel embarrassed, we want to respond combative. We want to respond aggressively, and it only adds to the tension, and it ultimately keeps you from growing together as a unit. So when you talk about that, that's definitely something that could be at play as well, man. It's just, whew.
Let's hope we don't see it again. I mean, we have been getting inklings of it.
Do you believe that we're not going to see it again, though?
Is this the breaking point? Do I believe?
I definitely don't.
It's going to have to be because if it happens again, he's out rest of the game, potentially out rest of the season. We might just not even play him anymore. Dress him.
It's going to happen again, bro. It's going to happen again.
We did call it before the season, right?
We did.
I don't know if it was this stuff in particular, but when they changed the taunting rule,
we said who gonna have him. And
I don't think he's got a taunting yet, has he?
Well,
he's got a bunch of this other bullshit.
Fouls, though, because like the point is the taunt. That was a taunt. Yeah,
the one from yesterday.
Yeah, the first one would have been a taunt, but no, it was funny. They were saying that for wide receivers, I forgot who posted the stat. One of those statisticians that work with the NFL or ESPN. They were talking about wide receiver penalties this season. And they were saying every wide receiver in the league except one has less than 5 penalties. One receiver has 8 penalties.
Is it Claypool?
Yes.
Really?
And I was like, dude, it was nuts, man. It was nuts. I was like, yo, I can see it, though.
That's a damn shame.
Yeah, man.